Monday, May 16.
Shots fired outside the sheriff's office. Any man's dead. Suspect down. We need help.
Body cam video captures the chaos outside a local sheriff's office, where a deputy was just shot by a man in custody.
Nick, someone didn't search him. It was in his waistband. I hope it fucking hurts.
The conclusion tonight of Brianna Clark's two-part investigation into the death of Calloway County Chief Deputy Jody Cash.
She dives deeper into open records documents from Kentucky State Police to get a clearer picture of how an inmate in handcuffs was able to shoot and kill Cash outside the Marshall County Sheriff's Office. Investigators say this is the person who pulled the trigger. Gary Roland was in custody at the time, yet he still managed to conceal two weapons, a gun and a knife.
So after Roland shot Cash, deputies returned fire, killing Roland. Brianna Clark joins us now.
Yeah, you spent the last several months sifting through records, documents, along with hours of recorded interviews, hundreds of photos and video of the aftermath.
Yeah, and even with all of this, we still don't know exactly where Gary Roland was hiding the gun on his body that he used to kill Jody Cash. No one knows exactly where that is. There's no clear video of the shooting, despite it happening outside the Marshall County Sheriff's Office. There is clear video from inside the interrogation room. This is where we left off yesterday in part one of my report. Remember, Roland reportedly made threats to law enforcement, saying he'd rather go down in the streets than go back to prison. It took a 9-member SWAT team to bring him into custody. We start tonight with a warning. Some of the video you are about to watch is graphic. We've censored portions, but kept a lot in for context, including clips from a surveillance camera nearly 700 feet away. The image is pretty grainy. It doesn't show where Roland was hiding the gun, but it does show the moment Cash was shot, then Roland pointing the weapon at other deputies. Before we show you that, we begin with new video from inside the sheriff's office, where cameras capture Roland's actions when no one was watching. The interrogation room at the Marshall County Sheriff's Office in Benton, Kentucky. Gary Roland sits in silence as doors in other parts of the building open and slam shut. On the table, lottery scratch-off tickets. The special response team found them in Roland's pocket earlier when they took him into custody. The plan was to bring him straight to the jail after the arrest. But Roland wanted to talk to deputies, said he'd give up names of local drug dealers, so they brought him here. 3 cameras are recording as he waits in the room alone, hands cuffed behind his back. Pay attention to the next part. Kentucky State Police mentioned this moment in their report. Roland sits up, takes his left hand, reaches to the front, feels around, and then does the same thing on the right side. Then leans back down in his chair. Less than a minute later, the door opens. Calloway County Chief Deputy Jody Cash in the green, Marshall County Deputy Donald Bowman in the white. Remember, these two are federal DEA task force. They're not in typical police uniform because their goal is to blend in, not stand out. They did have bulletproof vests on earlier, but they took them off once Roland was in custody.
And he says, yeah, he'll talk to us, but he really wants a cigarette and he wants to call his girl. I'm like, well, let's talk a little bit and, we'll see what we can do from there.
Grab a handcuff key.
Cash tosses the key to Bowman, who then walks over to Roland, moving his cuffs from the back to the front. You can see Cash going in and out of the room throughout the video, grabbing things for Roland. First a drink, followed by a cigarette. Then they allow him to go outside and smoke that cigarette. Notice Roland's sweatpants as he leaves the room. This is about to come into play. Bowman talks about it in his interview with KSP investigators.
Looking back on it, he spends a lot of time bent over, putting the smoke out, and I think he was moving the pistol up to where he could get it, where he could get hold of it.
When they come back, Roland's pant leg is now pulled up below the knee.
We talk a little bit more. Again, he says, man, hey, I could really use another smoke. I'll continue cooperating with you guys. I'll continue talking to you.
Cash grabs one last cigarette for Roland. All three leave the room. This time, they do not come back. Keep in mind, what happens next all played out in front of the Marshall County Sheriff's Office, just feet from the entrance. The surveillance cameras here should have captured everything, but they didn't work. If you're not familiar with the building, this is what it looks like. See that pillar? Gary Roland stood on the other side of that to smoke. Deputies to the left and right blocking him in. Over here is the jail's Sallyport entrance, where they transport inmates. It has a motion sensor camera, but it also did not record the shooting. State investigators say someone at the jail turned down the sensitivity because the camera was capturing too much movement. KSP says the recording has a 3-minute gap. First, Cash is standing. Then he's not, and an ambulance arrives. We haven't seen that video. The state denied us a copy because they say it could compromise security. They did give us a copy of this. Camera footage from a business across the street, 664 feet away. The image is blurry. There's no sound, and vehicles are darting in and out of frame. This is the only video that gives a glimpse into what happened here. Remember, Roland is still in handcuffs. Bowman on the left, Cash on the right, and Roland in the middle, the pillar blocking our view. Marshall County Deputy Brandon Little just parked his patrol vehicle. That's him walking toward the front door. He barely makes it inside when the first shot goes off.
I don't know if I was still looking at where Little was when he walked in, or if I was still looking to my right, or if I was actually looking at the guy. I really don't know. I hear a pop. I hear Jody yell.
This is when the video gets graphic. We've decided to blur this part out. Right here, Jody Cash goes down. Bowman starts running, and there's Roland close behind.
I'm pretty sure he popped another round at me.
Investigators say right here, Roland points the gun at Bowman.
I trip over the sidewalk there. I get back up. I start engaging him. That time I kind of see Little out of my left side there.
I can see the gun pointed at me. It's almost like I can see straight down the barrel.
The video shows Roland falling in the parking lot near the curb as deputies are firing shots at him. Roland stands back up and continues to flee.
Roland's not complying.
Roland falls again, this time in the grass.
I was giving verbal commands, show me your hands, show me your hands. It's like his fingertips were on the butt rear part of the gun.
Roland's got his back to me on the ground. So Brandon kind of covers me, and we both move up. I grab a hold of Roland from the backside there. He's still got the gun in his hand. I took the gun, tossed it over to the left.
Shots fired outside the sheriff's office. We need EMS stat. Suspect down. We need help.
Benton Police Sergeant Logan Hampton races to the scene. Dashcam video giving us a clearer picture of the aftermath. On the right, deputies Bowman and Little, with Roland back in custody. Hampton goes left toward the Sallyport, where Cash is on the ground. Not far behind is Benton Police Officer Keegan Cole. His body camera takes us in even closer.
Nick, someone didn't search him. It was in his waistband.
Next to Roland on the ground, this 9mm pistol. The weapon investigators say he used to kill Jody Cash.
No, go over there to Jody. Go to Jody first. Go to Jody first. Okay, right there. Let's give me a second. Jody's not doing good. Well, who shot this guy? I did. You need to go be a Bowman because Jody's not doing good, man.
Autopsy shows Jody Cash was fatally shot in the chest.
Yeah, go sit somewhere else, Brian. He's done for it.
Roland was hit 13 times, including a fatal shot to the head.
I guess we didn't search him good enough. He had a gun in his waistband.
First responders get Roland into the ambulance, where they find this knife hanging on a lanyard around his neck. The same spot Hampton searched earlier, where he found the key to the Chrysler, hanging on a lanyard.
Where
My name's Detective Stout with the
Kentucky State Police spent the following week interviewing local law enforcement, including members of the SRT, the guys who first took Roland into custody.
Do you think there's anything that you or other law enforcement could have done to differently change the outcome of this situation?
Just probably searching people to the full extent.
I mean, the obvious is a little more thorough search.
Honestly, I know we searched him. Obviously not good enough.
I wish I'd done something different, but I can't think of something that I can honestly sit here and tell you that I would have done differently.
Search or better search.
This has not been an easy story to cover. The facts are raw, real, and heartbreaking. We're not just showing you video to show you video. The entities involved have been less than forthcoming about the circumstances. There were mistakes made, and it is our job to make sure the entities you depend on are transparent about their mistakes and fix them so this never happens again. As for the Marshall County Sheriff's Office, they are working to make improvements. That includes adding 5 new surveillance cameras to their facility.
All right, Brianna, thank you. As we reported earlier, a grand jury heard the evidence and no criminal charges were filed against any law enforcement involved. But the case did go to civil court, and now there's a potential settlement agreement in the works.
Marshall County Deputy Donald Bowman, his wife, and Cash's widow are accusing law enforcement of not doing an adequate search when they took Roland into custody.